I've been looking forward to this program for months. It features 4 very different pieces that all share a quality of something magical or otherworldly. Weber's Overture begins with Oberon's magic horn. Then we travel into the world of Hungarian folk music with Bartók. Next, Ligeti's Piano Concerto, which sounds like a music box on steroids. And finally, to Haydn's effervescent Miracle Symphony. Oberon is an opera by Carl Maria von Weber, the father of German Romanticism. In Renaissance literature and Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, Oberon is the king of the fairies. In fact, he is so powerful that his fight with his wife, Titania, affects the weather. Weber wrote an opera based on a poem by Christoph Martin Wieland. We'll be performing the overture from that opera. The music begins with a French horn solo conjuring up Oberon's magic horn, to which the fairies respond with light chattering in the woodwinds. This slow introduction leads into fantastic fast music that is a wonderful showpiece for the orchestra, especially the violins, who spend a lot of time careering up and down arpeggios with great virtuosity. It's an overture that sparkles from its first to last notes and creates an otherworldly atmosphere for our magical journey. Bartók wrote his Divertimento for string orchestra in 1939. He had rented a chalet in the Swiss Alps where he lived for a number of weeks in complete seclusion. He knew nothing of the terrifying events unfolding across Europe. Bartók is often seen as an uncompromising and serious composer, which is true, but it doesn't let us see his lighter side. A divertimento literally means an amusement. Mozart often used the term for light-hearted music that could accompany a party. Bartók's divertimento strikes a much more relaxed mood than much of his other music. It's the last time Bartók was able to write something that didn't reflect the world around him. He turned to musical models from the 18th century. During that period, orchestras often featured alternating groups of large and small instruments. The Divertimento is written for a string orchestra, and Bartók divides it into different sections that converse with each other. The piece is like a series of games. The first movement is dance-like, and it feels very buoyant and optimistic, as if a young traveller is about to set out on an adventurous journey. The second movement is dark and slow and full of strange sounds. It's a mood that we often call Bartók's night music. It's as if he's trying to depict the sounds of insects at nighttime. It also features a beautiful and haunting chorale. The third movement is a rondo, which means that one simple melody keeps coming back over and over again. And for this, Bartók chooses a folk-like theme that reminds us of his Hungarian heritage. But each time we hear the rondo theme, it's been transformed into something new. A thorny fugato, where the theme enters on different layers of the orchestra, or a gypsy fiddler's cadenza, or a mock Viennese polka. Apparently, when things were going well in life, Bartók would laugh with boyish glee. And the finale is full of this joy, in a way that we don't usually expect from Bartók. We're going to stay in Hungary and introduce one of my favourite composers, George Ligeti. Ligeti lived from 1923 until 2006, and his music is rooted in the same folk tradition of Hungary as Bartók's, although Ligeti often disguises his influence. You might know some of them from Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece film, 2001: A Space Odyssey. In the 1980s, Ligeti's music began to feature energetic rhythms, often overlapping in complicated ways, and Bartók's ghost hovers ever closer. The piano concerto was written between 1985 and 1988. It begins with the soloist hammering out infectious rhythms accompanied by plucked notes in the strings. The second movement features a range of unusual instruments. Over a low pedal in the double basses, we hear a lonely slide whistle, and then an ocarina, a small ancient wind instrument made of clay with finger holes. The third movement sounds like something unwinding. The piano begins with a complicated theme that spirals downwards, and as the instruments of the orchestra enter, we feel like we're disappearing down a rabbit hole. The fourth movement begins with what sounds like a series of random events. A few rude notes in the winds, ghostly high notes in the strings, loud chords in the piano. As it progresses, these events overlap and begin to make sense with one another. Then the finale begins with fast-running scales in the piano. It sounds like the music is trying to leap off the stage and into the air. Joseph Haydn made his first trip to London in 1791. He presented a series of symphonies that have now become known as the London Symphonies. Although number 96 is the fourth of the 12, it was actually the first to be written and performed. Moreover, it got its nickname, The Miracle, by mistake. At the premiere of another symphony, number 102, a chandelier fell from the ceiling of the concert hall. Miraculously, none of the audience was hurt, since they had all crowded around the stage to applaud. But somehow the story became attached to the premiere of Symphony No. 96, which has been known ever since as The Miracle. Now, even though the nickname is dubious, it does reflect something of the symphony's character. No. 96 achieves something very difficult in music. It's profound and moving, while almost always being light. The first movement begins with a slow introduction, followed by an upbeat allegro. The second is graceful and elegant, featuring beautiful solos for the woodwinds. Haydn was especially proud of it, remembering on his deathbed, "What a shame, I was just learning how to write for the winds." The third movement features an extended solo for the oboe, while the finale has the wonderful Haydn lightness that never betrays the incredible sophistication of his wit. It's impossible not to smile as you listen to this music. So join us for a magical evening of Weber, Bartók, Ligeti, and Haydn.